Hey you guys, today we are going to be doing this Gigi Hadid Met Gala look. I wanted to be pretty today, so this is what we did. I think the look of her, I'll pin it right here, is so beautiful, but it's also so similar to things she kind of does all the time. It's like right in her wheelhouse. It's nothing weird or crazy. It's just pretty, which is my favorite kind of makeup. I'm not super creative when it comes to my makeup, even though I'm a makeup artist. I'm more just like a glam girl. So I love that she just like sticks to her glam, pretty makeup sessions in these things. Like she's not like Doja Cat level putting on prosthetics. Like that's amazing too, but like, you know, it's not for everyone. It's not for me. It's cool. It's awesome. I love it. But more of a classic glam kind of girl. So we're going to do this makeup look. If you want to see how we got this, just keep watching. We're also talking about what the graduation culty services were like at the School for Troubled Girls. Of course, we did have these graduations, and I just explained kind of like what we did, what those were like. So yeah, if you want to see how we got this look and a little bit of trash talk, just keep watching. Hi guys, today I thought we would do Gigi Hadid's Met Gala look because it's very fabulous. I have my hair extensions in. I didn't really do a good job styling today. So we're just gonna work with what we have and maybe just tuck them away. So this is the image here that I want to recreate. It's like a silvery, powdery, soft, really pretty makeup. So let's just jump right into it. I feel like this will be easy, quick, glam. Put a little lip oil. I just got this Florasis lip oil sent to me. You guys already know I love Florasis. Every time I get a package from them, I scream. It's so happy. As for our conversation, I was thinking that we should talk, of course, about the School for Troubled Girls, but specifically the graduation ceremonies that we went through upon our exit, and the contract that we had to sign to leave, and all that jazz, because I think it's interesting and I think you guys will like the topic because it's weird. So let's just start and we'll start our chat. I'm going to use the Inglot eye primer. I think I have like an old one or something. It's truly not the best eye primer I've ever tried, but it doesn't really matter, does it? I don't know. So, at the School for Troubled Girls, to leave, you had to graduate, and your graduation could be revoked for really like any reason. Like there were a couple girls who made it almost their entire program without converting, but also without getting in any trouble. And then they would always get a huge surprise around home pass time or graduation time, and usually one or both would be revoked, taken away, canceled, postponed. You had to convert. If you didn't convert, you weren't graduating. And the graduation ceremony was very culty. You would graduate. I'm going to use the Cool Tone Pat McGrath palette, and these shades look perfect for Gigi's look, so let's start with this one in the crease. And I'm just using a potato crappy brush because all my good brushes have really warm pigment. Actually, maybe I could remove them. I have one of those shadow scrapers. There's a lot of brands that make this. Maybe if I have time, I can link one in Amazon or something. Maybe there's one in Tags, but I'm not sure. It's like this weird meshy thing, and it scrapes out the color from your brush so you can change colors. That did seem to work. Yeah, that worked great. I'm surprised. So the graduation services. So you would graduate with the same students who came in the same month as you. So I graduated with my nemesis, Caitlin, who arrived at the same month as me, and she's actually still working there, We butted heads a lot, but we also had a lot in common. I find that the people like that I've butt heads the most with in my life are usually people that I have a lot in common with me. So maybe I'm warring against myself, or maybe these people are just annoying. I sound like an asshole, but me and her, we didn't really get on. So we graduated together. I can't remember who else was a part of our graduation, but sometimes girls would get time added and they would get bumped to your graduation time if you didn't arrive at the same time as they did anyway. So yeah, that happened a lot. And my graduation was all kind of a blur, but what would happen for the graduation ceremonies is the families would come and we would put on a show, the graduates in particular. So first, the whole group of girls would go up and sing and stuff. And then we would sit down, the girls in the program versus the graduates. We would sit down in our chairs and the graduates would all sit in front with their families just behind. And then the graduates would go up and they would tell their testimony. And if you don't know what a testimony is, it's like your life story and how you came to Christ and how your life changed because of this program. It was always really emotional because it always did include themes of child abuse and EDs and SA, all kinds of kind of tough subjects, because every single girl that was in this program had a history with being assaulted, being abused as a child, being adopted. Everybody had their big trauma, you know? And it's so funny how they chose, how the families, how the directors, how everybody chose to deal with these traumas. But basically we would get up there and we would tell our story. So my story was like, well, my dad really hurt us growing up, and then my mom wasn't home, and then I started, I don't know, running away, smoking plants, blah, blah, blah. And then I came to Teen Challenge, and God changed my life, and now I'm saved, and I'm happy, and I've found peace. And just all of this kind of like blanket statements about how we found peace and we are new bitches. I think I have a silver. Yeah, let's use this on the base of the eye because Gigi's eye is really silvery and I don't know if the silver I have is up to par. So we do this as a base. So yeah, the graduations as a graduate was always about sharing your come to Jesus moment, how and when you got saved in the program, and how basically how you're better, how you've recovered, how you no longer need SEXDRUGS, friends, anything besides Jesus, because you are healed now. It was all about saying like, I'm better. It's time for me to go home and evangelize the world. Or it's time for me to stay on this camp and have a little bit more freedom while also staying in this cult, which is what I did. The parents would always be sobbing, always, 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 because one, the parents were usually a part of the home abuse that was talked about a lot. Parents oftentimes got kind of called out in these programs, and they were usually sobbing, and then the parents would also go up and they would have these big I love yous and these massive thank yous to the directors. And you know, the directors loved to take credit for like saving our lives. So our parents were just all over their behinds, just kissing ASS. You know how it is. So, oh, and we would also, as the graduating group, we would do dramas. what do they call them? They call them like human body movies too or something. So we would get up and we would essentially perform a skit. And by the way, at my graduation, the skit was very dramatic. I can't really remember, but like we had somebody stand in the middle and like pose as Jesus with their arms out, and we put the nail in his hands, and like it was just the weirdest, dumbest thing ever. We literally like acted out the crucifixion, and then we told our stories, and my parents went up and they were crying, and my sister was there and she was crying. All my sisters were there and they were probably all crying, but I distinctly remember my little sister being there and kind of crying because she was excited that I was graduating, but at the same time, she was disappointed because I didn't come home. I'm just going over the crease again with that color. This palette is literally perfect for this look. It almost makes me wonder if Patrick Ta, I think that's who did this look, it almost makes me wonder if he used this palette because the colors look pretty close to me. It looks like Gigi just had like a wing with a very dark inner corner and lower lash line eyeliner. So I'm going to go ahead and do the lower lash line right now, and then we'll start working on the wing. I'm just going to fill it in with this Charlotte Tilbury black eyeliner. And I'm going to tightline the top too. I'm all rosy. I got the craziest facial today. I'm going to be posting it on shorts so you'll see it. It was crazy. She massaged the inside of my mouth. I never had a massage like that before. She was using like Pilates balls on my face. So back to the graduation and what you had to do to get there. So the graduation was the big finale to your program, and it was really, really important to follow the rules so that you could have a graduation, because if you didn't follow the rules, then you weren't getting out and you weren't ever going to be recognized for completing the program, which, let's be honest, it doesn't matter if you get that recognition, but they would tell us that it did matter. For whatever reason, it mattered. So we would work really hard to not get in trouble so that our graduation, 1, wasn't taken away, and 2, wasn't delayed. And in order to get out of the program, we also had to agree to follow a certain set of home rules. So rules that we would follow when we went home. And these included not having sex, not having a boyfriend for your first year of getting out of the program. We had to pledge our virginity until marriage in that contract. And we had to sign it and date it. And if we went back on the contract, it was kind of like fair game for our parents to bring us back. Some girls did get taken back. I cannot imagine what that's like. I stayed there for forever, so I may as well have been taken back because I never really got out. But I can't imagine thinking you're free and also being someone who isn't caught up in their bullshit enough to stay like I was. Like, I was really caught up in their bullshit. So I just can't imagine what it's like to like get your freedom and lose it again. Like, again. Again, you have to assimilate into the program. Like, it's crazy. And the contract also was like really, really, really long. There were all kinds of rules in this contract. No reconnecting with old friends. That was like one of the biggest things that they drilled into our heads, is that like only going forward, no going back. Whether that friend was a good influence on you, a bad influence on you, it didn't matter. Like, they wanted us to erase our friends from the history of our lives and not connect with them again. And hearing this actually kind of did ruin some of my friendships, because at that time, I was really vulnerable. And because I was used to these people telling me like how to think and how to behave and how to live my life, I just kind of like did what they said. So like I went back home and I didn't reconnect with some of my closest friends. And honestly, like, I still regret it because I had one friend, he was my best friend, like, in life, especially as a teenager. His name was Eli, and that was my best friend. We were kind of just like a pair throughout school and throughout life. And he came to my house when I was getting sent off. He was the first person I called when I found out I was being taken away, and he came straight over and tried to help me run away. That didn't work because my mom pulled in, like, literally at that moment. But yeah, that was my best friend, and I never really reconnected in that same way. And then once I was better, I had moved because I was, like, so traumatized by everything that I just got out of the state. So I feel like we never really got to reconnect in that way. And that was somebody really, really special to me. And then he ended up passing away, I want to say almost 3 years ago. I went home for the service. It was just like it was just a service that me and my friends put together because his family, I don't know why, they were in a lot of pain. I don't know what it was, but they weren't having like a formal funeral, and he had so many friends. He was highly social. So we put on his send-off, and it honestly was beautiful. We went to this park that we as kids would always sneak off to and we had it there. We got a projector, and who was it that made the slideshow? I might have made the slideshow. Somebody made a slideshow, and it was beautiful. I've never seen all of my old friends again in the same place because when I was banished, like I said, you guys, I never really returned. And when I did, I was laying low because I was embarrassed about who I was. Because I had bought into all this weird religious stuff. And so instead of like facing the world and feeling like a weirdo amongst people that I knew, I just hid from everybody and everything. I actually wish that I wouldn't have done that. But I think like I needed to feel safe. And I had so many tough, like, especially after my sister died, like I had so many like tough memories of home that I just never really got back into my clique, like with my friends, like, and I always felt also really jaded by that, by being taken away and then not having the strength or the skill set to reconnect. I'm going to use this Tude black eyeliner to crisp up some of these lines. My eyeliners are not even, to be frank, and I don't know what to blame it on. Sorry about the dog barking. This street, I'm telling you, I can't live here forever because I can't even work here. Going to church was also in the contract, and I completely forgot about that. It was contracted that we continue going to church, and I found that pretty difficult to do because I'm from Wisconsin. I'm not from like a Bible Belty kind of place. So I honestly never continued going to church because I didn't know where to go. Also, I still have my lash extensions and I am getting a fill even though I'm kind of annoyed with them. But I'm going to put some sort of individual, some kind of lash cocktail on. Hers look pretty wispy. They look like individuals, but I don't know if individuals will do it for me because of my extensions. So let's see. Okay, so I have these Hannah Hool lashes. These are linked in my Amazon if you want to buy them. I'll put the link to I'll link them. But these I love, and I use on a lot of my clients because they're customizable, they're clusters. I recently just did a lesson with 6 women, like makeup lesson, and I taught them all to do cluster lashes instead of strips, and every single girl, minus maybe like one, no shade, you did it, you tried your best, but everybody got it. And I feel like all but one kind of felt like, oh, it's not that hard to do cluster lashes. I think actually cluster lashes, because see, it's just a little piece, I think they can actually be easier than strip lashes. Because you only need, if you're going for like a natural or whatever, you only need like 5 pieces per eye. And if you're really lash challenged, you could get away with just doing 3 pieces per eye. Like, it's really not as hard and as daunting, I think, as putting a full strip on. And I'm just kind of filling in where my lash extensions are really empty. I'm going to Pilates after this. I am never going anywhere cool in my glam. My glam is always wasted. I forgot about telling you guys about before the graduations too. So the graduations were like special because the families would come. And so the families would eat dinner with us, and we would get a really, really good meal, because obviously anytime that our parents were around, the center made sure that we were eating good. That was the only time we ever had salads or any kind of fresh vegetable ever. We were veggie and fruit deprived. I think I probably could count on one hand how many times in the program that we had fruit or veg that was fresh, like only like very, very, very special occasions, and only when parents were around. Never just like on a regular day. And I think that's because they promised our parents that we were eating healthy, and we were not. And we were too afraid to tell our parents that we weren't eating healthy, because our food, our phone calls and our mail was so heavily monitored that if we told them anything that wasn't good about the food, then they would put us on sweet out. And sweet out was when you couldn't have sweets for 30 days. And that was very serious to us, because kind of like how people get in jail, we were food obsessed, and we were obsessed with sweets. We were obsessed with junk food. We were obsessed with, we talked about food all the time. The program, I'm sure if you didn't already come in with a disordered eating problem, then you had one by the end, because we were just so obsessed with food. And we would eat in weird ways too, and then we would get in trouble because we were so obsessed with our food that we would pull everything apart. And then I said this on YouTube before, but the director just screamed at us one day because we had guests over, and all of us were pulling apart our sandwiches as if we had never eaten before. Like almost every one of us would eat, particularly like sandwiches and things that come apart, we would eat them in layers. So first eat one side of the bread, and then eat the meat and cheese off of that side, and then switch to the other side of bread. And we weren't allowed to take anything off and not eat it, so everything on the plate had to be consumed. So we would eat it like layer by layer because we were so food obsessed, and we had to eat it, and we probably just wanted a little bit more control, because I mean, we had to eat all our food, but we definitely decided in what order we would eat it. These lashes were literally the perfect fill-in. It's Hannah Hool on Amazon. Again, I'll link it. But these are some of my faves. I always keep these in my pro kit. because they look like extensions. Like these blend in really great. And of course, they're great without extensions too, but this looks pretty. I'm gonna keep these on for Pilates. I'm gonna take everything else off, but keep these on. Also, I feel like a criminal because I got my skin done today at the facialist, and now I'm putting makeup on it, and I feel like I should be crucified for that because that is a real crime. I love these lashes. Thank God you can't see the back of my head. It is a mess back there. So let's do the Purlisse BB cream because I want something on my skin right now that's just like a little bit more skincare-y because I got a facial today and I can't believe I'm putting makeup on even. And this is also my shade. I was going to use the Sephora Can foundation, but the shade Light is too pink and too dark for me right now. Not that that's ever really stopped me, but this is perfection. Whenever Patrick Ta does somebody's makeup, he does the most interesting contour lines. I'm gonna try to copy his contour shapes. Okay, so Patrick Contour's shape is always like down the nose. Actually, I shouldn't say always, I might be wrong. But it's like very specific where he places his highlight, not contour, I mean. This doesn't look like it, but that's okay. I'm using the KVD because this is the fullest coverage concealer that I have right now, and it's a little bit pinky based. I might put a little bit of my Maybelline in with this as well. I may have gone down a little too far there. I don't know. And then let's do this thing. I don't know if he does all this, but I would maybe assume. And then let's do right away the Dibs blush and contour. Oh, great. A dog's barking. It better not be the one who lives beneath me because whenever she starts barking, she stays barking for 2 hours. It means she's been left alone, and that dog cannot be left alone. Let's pull the contour into the eye socket. I'm using this Moda brush. Kind of a strange brush, to be honest, but like this is a very clutch use for this brush. Because if you notice in the picture of Gigi, she really has like this carved out. I always notice that. Patrick and Mario, like all the celebrity stylists, they always really connect the corner of the eye to the contour. Whoa, I need a smaller brush. This is a freaking mess. I'm doing this wrong. Let's use this. And again, I'm obsessed with these What's Up Beauty brushes. I've used them like every video since I got them. I have a lot of makeup, but I'm always running low on brushes because any really good brushes I put in my pro kit for my clients. And then literally I'm always left with the crappiest brushes. I don't know why I do it to myself. I just am this way. I don't think I can change. I wish I could. Oh my God, my camera's hot. So I'm gonna blend this out quickly and then give it a break. When I'm blending contour, I try to keep it like, I like to do the contour and the highlight at the same points so that I can keep the contour like really like in between those highlights. I don't want it going down much or up much. But I definitely tend to blend contour up more than I blend it down. And I never go too cool toned, but sometimes like I'll do my warmish tones or like my neutral tones, and then if it's not enough, I'll go over it with a cooler powder. But I don't really mess around with cool tone creams too much. I hope I can get this part blended before the camera decides it's closing off. I'm so sad about taking this makeup off because this is a really fun look. And we have to do that lower pearl. I don't have a pearl, but I have a rhinestone. Do I have a pearl? I might have a pearl. I bought some nail pearls, but I don't know if they're clear. I got some Swarovski crystals that I completely forgot about. See, when you blend right where you place it, you keep the contoured look. When you move it around after blending too much, you lose like what you built, you know? I don't always highlight my forehead because I already have a large forehead. If you have a small one, it's maybe a little bit more useful to you. But highlighting things usually makes them more prominent. And I don't really need that for my forehead. My forehead is there. Okay. Let me take a pause on this video, you guys. I'm going to try to fix the hair in the meantime. I actually didn't do anything to the hair. Instead, I just filled in my brows with my Trio Beauty Brow Pomade. Now let's finish the skin. I got this new powder from Florasis that I'm going to use. Here it is. This is a nice powder. It's more of like a foundation seeming powder. It's called the Blurring Pressed Powder, and I really like it. Because look, watch what happens. It just blurs and sets without being all intense. This is what I would say is like a soft matte powder. Like it really is different from like a setting powder. It seems more of like, I'm not sure if it's a finishing powder, but it seems a little bit more like one. It's kind of like a hybrid between a foundation powder and a finishing powder. A finishing powder is something you use at the end. It's not necessarily setting, because setting powder will hold the makeup a little bit harder, but a finishing powder will like blur in everything together. It will like soften the face, mattify. It's great for touch-ups. And this kind of seems more like a finishing / foundation powder. Like there's a little bit of coverage to it. I don't know if there's supposed to be, but there seems to be, if you ask me. And I'm going to go right up under that little inner corner line. Also, when I was off camera, I cleaned it up with a Q-tip because I don't know how to do inner corners without cleaning it up with a Q-tip. Like I always have to clean it up. I always make a mess of it. It is me. It is my life. Let's contour. I am wanting a little bit more of a chiseled cheek, so I'm going to use these two on the end here from Art Class by Roden. This is from Yes Style. I have a code. It still should be active. Everything will be below. And I'm going to use my Live Tinted brush on this small size just to get that precision in those two colors. Gigi isn't that contoured, but she's also, in the photos that I've seen of her, she's under flashing lights. So honestly, who knows how much contour she was wearing? Difficult to say under those conditions because it could just be the flash that's kind of like knocking out most of her makeup look. Now I'm using the other side just to take my forehead down a smidge. I got a big forehead. And I'm going to take this down the sides of the nose as well. Also, I forgot to mention, so the graduation that I was talking about, that's after being in the program for a minimum of 15 months. A lot of girls got time added and graduated around 16, 17, and 18 months. If you were getting time added, the most common amount of time is usually 2 to 3 months. And yeah, they got paid for the amount of time that you were there. So they definitely tried to extend your stay whenever they could, which if you ask me, it's just not ethical. And also, they are the ones who came up with the timeline. So if the timeline of 15 months isn't enough for most people, why did you come up with that timeline? I'm just blurring all of this nose contour and crease color together because it's a similar shade and I want everything to be meshed together very well. I'm also going to add a little glitter to the eyelid. I'm going to grab my Pat McGrath palette again and just use my finger because she did seem to be a little glittery. So I'm going to take a little bit of that shade and a little bit of that one and just top these off on the lid. Oh yeah, it got a little bit bluey. So I'm going to try to just put more of that one. Oh no, there's definitely a blue fleck there. Let's use a little bit of this to try to kind of mesh everything together. Don't want too much blue, you know. Yeah, that made it good. I love these palettes. And then she had like a mauve-ish nude lip, which for that, I thought we should do Sephora Sink or Suede. Oops. This is a beautiful shade, and I just got this one and Dress to the 90s, which I've had Dress to the 90s for a while. This one seems like that, but a little bit more mauve and a little bit lighter. So if you've tried Dress to the 90s and you feel like it's a little too dark for you, this one would be a good bet. I'm going to do blush at the end to see how much I need. Oh my gosh, I got two cavities filled yesterday and two cracked sealants fixed. It was so expensive. And then in like 2 more weeks, I'll start my Invisalign. So you'll be seeing me with a lisp. Let's use a KKW lipstick. This is my favorite lipstick. Actually, I shouldn't even say that. I have so many favorites. But it's one of my favorites. Faux show. Just the texture is nice. It stays pretty well. I mean, no shiny lipstick is going to stay all evening. It's just not going to happen, but it's a good lipstick. And then the cheek color looks like a peachy light pink. So I'm going to do this. I probably should have done it before powder, but sometimes you can get away with putting blush after. And today I'm going to just do it. These are very pigmented. I better make sure that's closed. These are very pigmented, and especially in this color, you really don't need a lot. I also have the red one and the Pillow Talk one, and those are a little more sheer. But this one, what shade is it? Pink Pop. It's pretty colorful. And I feel like Patrick Ta did do her blush on top of her powder because that's like his signature trick, is using blush on top of powder to bring back that skin-like effect. Like, he always says he does that. I need to watch him more. He's an amazing artist. And he does the kind of makeup that I like. Also, I noticed I could see through Gigi's base a little bit. Like, I could see a couple freckles. What is even last? Oh my God, we have to do the pearl. Oh my God, let's do that first. Okay, I'm realizing it's not quite a pearl, but it will do. It's more of just like a little white bubble. I thought I had pearls, but I guess not. So we'll just do this because it's all I have. And she just had one under each eye. So I'm gonna dab my glue on and then just pop her in. Placement is important. Thank God I didn't do mascara. I keep forgetting about this. Okay, that looks pretty even. Okay, pearl going in. Is it in? No. Number one. I'm so sorry, you could not see that. But if it makes you feel better, I couldn't even see that. I was going in blind. My mirror is like in a weird place because if I have my mirror where it really should be to help me see, then it blocks the camera. Ooh, love that. Let's look at the picture. I feel like we're pretty close. Her lip might have even been a little bit. Oh, her lip looks even more nude than mine, but she's also under hot lights. Her lid looks a little brighter too. Let's brighten up the lid. Nude out the lip a touch. And then we're done. She doesn't even have mascara on the bottom. So beautiful. I think I'm gonna go blonde like Gigi, like highlighted blonde, not like bleach and tone, because I can't do a bleach and tone anymore because my hair will fall out, but I could get highlights. I'm kind of jealous of the Gigi highlights right now. So funny, like the whole world is jealous of Gigi's highlights. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I do want her highlights though. Just using that color there to just open this part of the eye up. Because hers looks really, really bright. Oh yeah, that did it. It kind of like connected everything. I don't know if it's bright enough, but I'm not going on a carpet today. Okay, I also took out this other lipstick that I thought might work for this. Oh, it's buried. This is the funniest name. First of all, it's beautiful. I've showed this before. It's called Hora. Hora. Yeah, I think this was the right move. It's just a touch lighter than KKW. And a little bit more matte and a little bit more solid because Gigi's lips look pretty solid. And she doesn't really appear to be really highlighted or anything, so I'm not going to do that. I wish I had a lace thing, but I don't. But I could put on some mascara. Because her lashes look very defined. They look a little fuller than mine, but possibly shorter. But we already know my lash situation is just, it's the hand that I've been dealt. I love my lashes, but they're on their last thing. So I have bangs, she does not. So this is the final look. Can't get rid of those today. I thought about trying to get them back, but they just kept popping out. I mean, they're barely bangs. Let's pull the hair in front. I didn't really have time to style it today because because I had a facial and I need to get this done before Pilates. Maybe if we pull some more back. She had like a half up, half down kind of do. Let's pull these pieces back. Get a clippy hitch. If you guys knew what the back of my hair looked like in these videos, you would not be impressed because nobody sees the back. So if I'm in a hurry, I let the clip-ins show and I just make it work from the front. And really, it's pretty embarrassing. This is an onset brush from Beach Waver, and I used the Beach Waver to do these curls as well. The Beach Waver is very, very clutch for curling these extensions because I get arm pain trying to curl them, and it just makes my life a lot easier. So I'll link that as well if you like. Thank you guys for getting ready with me. I am such a repeater, but if you haven't joined the giveaway, I'll link the entry link. Please join if you're a regular watcher, and make sure you're subscribing so that you can win, because you can't win if you don't subscribe. You also have to follow me on Instagram. So yeah, this is our look. I'm very pleased. I'm only not pleased with the fact that I have to take it off, or I at least have to take it down a notch for class. So this is our look. Thank you guys for getting ready with me. Thanks for talking about graduation. Just kind of part of living on a cult compound is you get to graduate. So yeah, this is the final look. I forgot to mention, they gave us a diploma of graduation. And if you graduated high school as well, you got that as well as a graduation. School was very unimportant in comparison to all the other things. But let me know what you think, if you like this look, and I'll see you for the next one.